We are talking about wide receivers today. More specifically, my top 10 wide receivers in fantasy football for 2021. So let's kick it off at number 10 down in New Orleans with Michael Thomas. Once upon a time, we were talking about MT as the number one wide receiver, but times have changed. Nonetheless, he's had 120 or more targets every year before last season's injury-plagued campaign. And if you're worried about the quarterback situation, don't be. Last year, he was actually more productive when Drew Brees wasn't on the field. So whether it's Jameis Winston or Taysom Hill, Thomas should still be a pretty sure bet. At number 9, we go up to Minnesota and we find Justin Jefferson. Last year, he had a team-high 125 targets and an offense that pretty much just featured two main pass catchers. But with Adam Thielen now on the wrong side of 30, maybe that target number goes up for Jefferson in year 2. At number 8, it is the perennially underrated Keenan Allen. 4 straight years with 136 or more targets, and now he's got Justin Herbert slinging the rock. That Charger offense is on the rise, and you definitely want to make sure you try to get your shot at the number one wide receiver in that passing attack. At number 7, it is A.J. Brown with the Tennessee Titans. Now, earlier this offseason, I had him as a dark horse to maybe be the wide receiver 1. That gets knocked down a little bit because Julio Jones is now in the Music City, but with no Corey Davis or Jonnu Smith and a new offensive coordinator, this could be an offense that throws the football more, which will only benefit a guy like A.J. Brown. At number 6, we go to Seattle and we find DK Metcalf. Now, last year, he really asserted himself as the wide receiver 1 in that Seattle offense. This is still a concentrated passing game with most of the targets going to either Metcalf or Tyler Lockett, but Metcalf really made himself into the big play guy, the downfield threat, and really has a chance to even put up bigger numbers than he did in 2020. My number 5 wide receiver, maybe a surprise here, but it's Davante Adams. Look, no Aaron Rodgers, really no shot at him to be the number 1 wide receiver overall. But regardless of who the quarterback is going to be, Adams is going to be a target monster in an offense that's still looking for some other pass catchers to step up and assert themselves. So even if he is not the number 1 receiver off the board, I still expect big things from number 17 in 2021. At number 4, in Atlanta, it is Calvin Ridley. Look, he was already knocking on the door of elite wide receiver status. Now with Julio Jones gone and a bad defense still in play there in Atlanta, Ridley should eat up a ton of targets, even if Kyle Pitts turned out to be the guy we think he can be. My number 3 wide receiver is DeAndre Hopkins. We were worried about what was going to happen when he went to Arizona, but you know what? He tied a career high in receptions last season. Still saw a ton of targets from Kyler Murray. He is the number 1 target in one of the NFL's fastest-paced offenses, and even with a slew of other wide receivers in Arizona, Nuke should still continue to be the bomb in the desert. At number 2, it is Stephon Diggs, another guy who went to a new place last year and lit it up. He set career highs in targets, receptions, and yards with the Buffalo Bills. Nothing should change in that offense. Look for Diggs to still be a favorite target for Josh Allen, and again, to have near career numbers in that Bills uniform. That takes me to my number 1 wide receiver for fantasy football in 2021, and all right, look, it's not a surprise. It's Tyreek Hill. We want as many pieces of that Kansas City Chiefs offense as we can get our hands on. Tyreek has been a top 3 wide receiver in 3 of the last 4 seasons. He is the wide receiver 1 in the league's most dynamic passing offense and really a threat to go to the house every time he gets his hands on the football. Every year we wonder whether or not this is going to be the year regression hits, and it never seems to come. So Tyreek Hill should likely be the first wide receiver off the board in a ton of fantasy football drafts. Let's take a quick look back at my top 10 wideouts for 2021. Tyreek Hill at the top, Stephon Diggs, Duke Hopkins coming in at 3rd. Davante Adams falls a little bit to number 5. A.J. Brown is at 7. Keenan Allen at 8. And Michael Thomas rounds out the top 10 down there in New Orleans.